So yesterday I posted a video, much like this one, talking about the idea of change. And as part of that, I briefly touched on YouTube Red, which is YouTube's new optional, I want to emphasize the word optional, $10 a month subscription service. But I didn't get into too many specific details on it, kind of briefly just outlined the creator response to it. But as a result of that, I looked in the comments section and saw a whole bunch of misconceptions about what the service actually is, what it's going to do to the site, so much so that I felt it merited a follow-up video. I guess I feel like anytime that I think I can clear up a bunch of misinformation out there, it's probably worth doing. So let's start off by clarifying what exactly is YouTube Red. Well, it's a $10 monthly subscription service, as I already said. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't limit any existing features on the site. They're not taking anything you're used to and now putting it behind a paywall to force you to pay for this thing so that you can get what you've already been getting. That's not the case at all. All of the features that you get with YouTube Red, with the subscription, are new features. They're not things you've been used to in the past. They're not things that are going to make your experience now worse because they've been taken away from you and hidden behind this thing that forces you to pay. It's all brand new stuff, so it's not going to hinder the existing experience for you. Now, tied directly into that, I think the most common comment that I saw in my last video were folks saying, Jordan, don't switch your channel over to YouTube Red because if I have to pay to watch your videos, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore and I'm going to stop watching your videos. And I was like, that's not even a thing that can be done. You can't switch a channel to YouTube Red from a creator standpoint. You can subscribe to YouTube Red from a viewer standpoint, but I can't paywall my channel so that you have to pay for YouTube Red and be on YouTube Red in order to watch any of my videos. That's not even a possible option out there. There is an original content initiative going along with YouTube Red. I've yet to be approached about anything regarding that, so I'm not involved in that at all. So there are going to be some particular series that will require a subscription to access, sort of like a Netflix style thing, and I think that's the goal there, is these are going to be premium series that would be on something like a Netflix, except they're on YouTube instead. If those premium series are all being put on like one particular YouTube Red channel, then maybe that channel requires a YouTube Red subscription in order to access. But as far as every other current existing creator out there on the site who's making videos, don't even have the option to paywall their content, even if they wanted to. And even if the option were there and I was like, I really feel like killing my channel, running it into the ground by putting it behind a paywall, I couldn't even legally do that because as a gaming content creator, there's this symbiotic relationship between game publishers and YouTubers. Game publishers say, hey, this may be our intellectual property, we may own it, but because you're providing us with this free advertisement and playing our game, that's totally cool if you want to go and monetize our videos because people may watch those and say, this is a really cool game, I'm going to go buy it. And that directly puts money right into the game publisher's pocket that they might not have had otherwise had that video not existed. So it's this like, hey, we're cool, you do you, we'll do us sort of thing. As long as you're not breaking embargoes or doing other silly stuff, like, we're all cool. On the other hand, as soon as you put gaming content behind a paywall where people have to pay to access it, it eliminates the ability for someone to simply stumble upon it when they might not otherwise have, and then therefore find this interesting thing and end up buying the game. And as a result of that, most game publishers have in their terms of service, you can't put this content in some premium area where people have to pay to access it. It has to be free for anyone to look at any time. Can be ad supported, that's totally cool, but you can't hide it to where not everyone is able to access it. So if you were ever worried about any gaming content creator charging to view their content, A, they're making a terrible mistake no matter what, but B, it's actually probably illegal. So you don't really have to worry about that ever happening, really. So that rules out that first concern that so many people had. Now, another one that I saw was people saying, well, this YouTube Red is like a greedy initiative by Google and YouTube to make more money. And I was like, yeah, it is definitely a thing that Google and YouTube are doing to make money. Because Google and YouTube, well, it's a business, has a bunch of shareholders, it's a public company on the New York Stock Exchange, and pretty much any public company on the New York Stock Exchange has a primary objective to make money for its shareholders. It's kind of how the world works. So especially for something like YouTube, which to my knowledge, last I heard, is not actually a profitable entity, it's of great value for Google to have in its suite of products because it's the biggest video site on the entire internet. However, YouTube itself, it costs a lot of money, billions of dollars a year, to serve all that bandwidth, to have people maintaining it. It's a huge, massive operation. And so you can be sure that the higher ups at Google are telling everyone at YouTube, hey, your initiative here is to try to make this thing profitable. And as such, if they can motivate people to subscribe to a monthly service that's going to generate way more than any of these people could ever do by watching advertisements, they're going to do it. They're a business. Their primary objective is to generate revenue, is to turn a profit. And while I have no doubt that the overwhelming majority of Google leadership is interested in doing things that are going to positively impact the world, but they're going to try to do it in such a way where it will eventually turn a profit after they overcome all their R&D costs. I mean, look at self-driving cars. That will cut down on car accidents tremendously around the world. They're not going to give away the cars. You'll have to pay for the car, and hopefully over time, I'm sure they all hope that they're going to get back their cost on that and turn a profit on it. And that's not inherently evil. That's kind of just how the world works. Obviously, there are different ways in which people can attempt to make money that, hey, maybe there are criminals out there. There are people who do shady things, but simply the idea of making money itself is not an inherently evil idea. And that's what most businesses are out to attempt to do. Whether or not they're out to change the world at the same time, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. You can change the world for the better and make money simultaneously. Anyway, a little bit more of a rant, but the idea that YouTube Red is being implemented to make money, absolutely. And that is what it is. Now let's get into what some of the actual features are for YouTube Red from a viewership standpoint, because ultimately, that's what really matters. That's what's going to make you decide whether or not you're interested in doing it. So you may say, hey, this isn't worth my $10 a month. Others may say, hey, this sounds interesting. I'm going to give it a try. And it's really up to you to decide. But again, as I mentioned, it's not removing any current functionality. It's merely whether or not you deem the new features worthy of your $10 a month. That's really the only question you have to ask. And so I know on one hand, the main big thing is that it removes advertisements across the site. That's kind of a given. If you're going to pay for a subscription service, it's going to remove ads. It's what it does. So that's one thing. Next thing, which is actually a pretty useful feature, in my opinion, is that if you're on the mobile application and you're watching a video, you can actually suspend your phone and you can keep on listening to that video. Now, the main use for this is in music. So if you want to, say, listen to a very long, some set of electronic music, which is what I would do, you can't actually minimize the app and put it in your pockets and just run on a treadmill or something or go walking. You can't do that at the moment because it'll simply stop playing whatever video you're on, because YouTube is a video streaming service. And if you're not getting the ability to view ads on that, then YouTube isn't going to want to continue to serve you free bandwidth because you're not watching the video. Now, on the other hand, if you're paying for YouTube Red, you're actually going to be able to minimize the app, put it in your pocket, you can keep on listening to your video, which again is useful in the case of music or a podcast or something like that, so that you can use YouTube as a Spotify or something like that when you're at the gym, when you're going for a walk, when you're doing something that simply requires audio while you're multitasking. So that, to me, is actually a very, very useful feature that makes it tempting. Now, another very tempting feature is that if you subscribe to YouTube Red, you get Google Music, which itself I think was like a $10 monthly subscription thing. So you kind of just get that, which is, again, Google Music is sort of like a Spotify type service. I had it in the past. I don't know if I still have it anymore because it was on like a gift card balance. So I don't know. Anyway, you still get that along with it. So that's a pretty big plus. And then I know the other thing that they were offering was the ability for you to download content locally to your device, which I guess makes sense if you're going on a plane or something like that. I'd have to investigate that in more detail. I haven't tried that because I don't know how long it takes to download the video, because you obviously have to download it locally, and is the amount of time it takes to do that, does it outweigh the benefits of... Anyway, I have no idea, but it's a thing that you're able to do, is download content locally. But again, all of these are new features. They're not things you previously had that are now only accessible to YouTube Red users. It's simply new stuff, and I assume they're going to probably try rolling out additional features like this along those same lines in the future. And then the final thing, which isn't actually, it's not out yet, but they're planning on, and I mentioned it before, is this original content initiative. So trying to have this Netflix level content, but with its home on YouTube, and that'll be accessible to people who are subscribers to YouTube Red. This is not going to be just your standard gameplay video. This is going to be like high budget produced content that you would expect to see on a service that you might already be subscribed to. So, I mean, hey, you'll have to decide if you think that's worthwhile once these series start to roll out, I think in Q1 of next year. If they're of interest to you and you see the trailers for them and that sort of stuff, and you're like, hey, this is worthy of my subscription along with all these other features, then that's an option for you. Ultimately, you just have to decide, is this worth my $10, and it's a yes or no answer. And ultimately, it is up to you. You do whatever you feel is worth your dollar, and that is completely your call. Now let's get into the creator side of YouTube Red, which is sort of what I got into in the last video, more the financial side of things, which I know a lot of people probably aren't particularly interested in hearing about, but I know there are still people who have seen videos from other YouTubers who are like, YouTube Red is it's gonna kill my channel, and you were like, wait, what? Why is that gonna happen? And so I wanted to clarify that, because it's not gonna kill their channels. Whenever you can get someone to pay a monthly subscription, it's always going to generate more than it could based on advertisements. And so for the most part, that idea is unfounded, that anyone would make less because of YouTube Red than they would have on ads. I have a very, very hard time envisioning a situation where overall a channel would generate less. In fact, I really can't envision a realistic scenario where that would happen. And so the only sort of final ambiguity that I saw was concerning a lot of people was this is going to benefit larger channels somehow over small ones, because the way that it works, the way revenue is distributed is it's the same split it's always been for advertisements. 55% of all the total YouTube Red revenue is going to get sent back out to the YouTubers, just like 55% of the ad revenue goes to the YouTubers as of now. And the way that revenue is distributed on an individual channel basis is you basically take all the minutes watched on your content in a month by YouTube Red users, and you divide that by the total amount of minutes watched across the entire site by all YouTube Red users, so you get a percentage there of your minutes watched to total minutes watched, and you apply that to the total amount of YouTube Red revenue, and that's what you get. So you have to do a little bit of math, but it's pretty much, it's a very fair calculation. But somehow I saw a lot of people saying, hey, no, because you pool all this revenue up into one big pot and then distribute it out at the end of the month, this is somehow going to favor the larger channels over the smaller ones. Well, yes, I mean, the bigger channels that get way more traffic would normally be concretely making more money, but as a percentage increase, it doesn't favor larger channels. It favors those who have longer watch times on their videos, big or small. Let's do a little bit of math on the topic. I know you're like, ew, math, this is disgusting. You're already talking about finances, it's gross, but let's create an example. There's so many variables at play here, but let's try to do something. I have it written down here, so we're a little bit coherent. So, say on your channel, you have 1,000 people over the course of a month who are YouTube Red subscribers who watch your videos. And on average, those people end up watching your content approximately 10 minutes a day. Some more, some less, but on average, those 1,000 Red people, they watch it for 10 minutes a day. That's gonna end up giving you 300,000 minutes watched by YouTube Red users in that 1 month. Cool, so let's keep in mind that 300,000 number, because we'll bring it back in just a second. Now, the way that I saw a lot of channels saying, no, it would be way more fair if you just took the percentage of minutes watched by people who watch my content, who are YouTube Red subscribers, divided by the total minutes just those people watch across the site, and you pay that out to me, that'll be way more fair than this whole global pooling and then distribution. No. So let's say we'll give you a really lofty number. Let's say that this channel all of those 1,000 YouTube Red users, 20% of all of their time on the site watching videos, they're spent watching this channels. That's a lot. Just 1 out of every 5 minutes a month is spent watching one particular channel, which is hefty. Okay, so let's do a little calculation as to, with the method that a lot of channels are saying is more fair, how much would that channel actually generate in revenue? So we've got 1,000 YouTube Red subscribers, so those 1,000 YouTube Red subscribers are gonna generate $10 a month, so that's $10,000. They spend 20% of their time on that person's channel, so you're gonna get 20% of the 10,000 times 55%, because you get the 55-45 split with YouTube, so you're gonna end up with $1,100 in your pocket if it's distributed that way. Now on the other hand, let's do the calculation the way it will actually be done, and we'll see how the numbers play out. So we had those 300,000 minutes watched in the month by YouTube Red users. Now, I have to make up a couple numbers here, and I don't know how realistic they are, but again, it's all hypothetical. So let's say we had 10 million people across the entire site who are subscribed to YouTube Red. So those 10 million people paying $10 a month, they're gonna be generating $100 million in revenue. 55% of that is gonna go to the creators. So that's $55 million in this pot that's gonna go to everyone. Now say all those YouTube Red users generate 10 billion minutes watched per month. Okay, again, totally hypothetical number, but I'm just throwing it out there. So they generate 10 billion minutes watched. So you're gonna take the percentage, 300,000 divided by 10 billion, your minutes watched divided by total minutes watched, and you're gonna multiply that times 55 million. What do you end up with? You end up actually with $1,650 in your pocket, which is $550 more than you would have gotten had the calculation been done the other way. So YouTube's calculation works in your favor. Now, why is that? And when would it actually not work in someone's favor? Well, the general rule of thumb is that if the people who are YouTube Red users who watch your videos do it for an amount of time that is greater than the average amount of time that a YouTube Red user watches videos all across the site, you're gonna benefit from this calculation. On the other hand, if you have really short videos and therefore people who watch them are doing it for a shorter than average amount of time, then it's not gonna benefit you as much. But the fact of the matter is, as it stands at the moment, advertisements serve higher CPMs on videos that are longer anyway, so it sort of already reflects that and doesn't provide much of a change there as it stands. And again, because these people are paying this monthly subscription, generating way more than they possibly could from advertisements, it's gonna end up with more regardless, really. So that's, yeah, dispelling that misconception, which again is really oriented, it's directed at creators. It doesn't affect you really, but if you were worried about a YouTuber you watch a lot being negatively impacted by this, again, I can't come up with a scenario where it does. So yeah. Now the other worry was that because of this whole YouTube Red free trial thing happening this month, or I don't know if it's the first month that you sign up for it, period, or if it's just in November, no idea. But because of this, YouTube revenue for everyone is gonna tank in November, and I can factually say now that after looking at analytics, it's not gonna be the case as I sort of expected, but now I have evidence to back it up. So no one's gonna be having troubles, unforeseen troubles, at least, unless they just stop making videos, in which case, yeah, I mean, that'll impact your traffic. But YouTube Red itself, nope, not gonna hurt you there. So that was the other thing I saw people worried about. Anyway, the boring financial stuff that you probably don't want to hear all that much about, but rest assured, all your favorite full-time YouTubers should still be fine, unless there's some crazy unimaginable scenario that happens for someone that I can't come up with at the moment. I'm not gonna rule anything out completely, but it'd be weird. So yeah. I'll keep an open ear, but anyway, that's YouTube Red in a nutshell. Creators should be totally fine, and so really it comes down to you, whether or not you think the new features are worth the cost every month, and that's all there is to it. It's pretty darn simple in that regard. So you make your decision there, and I don't think anyone will fault you either way. It's just an option for you, and we'll leave it at that. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Hopefully that cleared up some stuff about the whole thing. No one's channels are disappearing behind a paywall, and no one's going to be out on the streets homeless as a result. So that's all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.